Hey, Language Arts class. This is Mr. Spade, and I'm back reading Chapter 2 of our read-aloud book for class, The Unteachables. If you and your classmates want to make some predictions, some inferences about what's going to happen in the chapters ahead, please post comments on Google Classroom, and we'll see if you're correct. Without further ado, here's Chapter 2. Mr. Kermit, the first day of school. I remember the excitement. New students to teach, new minds to fill with knowledge, new futures to shape. The key word is remember. That was 30 years ago. I was so young, not much older than the kids, really. Being a teacher was more than a job. It was a calling, a mission, true mission. Impossible. But I didn't know that back then. I wanted to be Teacher of the Year. I actually achieved that goal. That was when the trouble started. Anyway, I don't get excited by the first day anymore. The things that still get my 55-year-old motor running are the smaller pleasures. The last tick of the clock before the 3:30 bell sounds. Waking up in the morning and realizing it's Saturday. The glorious voice of weather forecasters. Due to the snowstorm, all schools are closed down. And the most beautiful word of all, retirement. The first day of school means it's only 10 months away. My younger self never could have imagined I'd turn into the kind of teacher who'd be crunching numbers, manipulating formulas, and counting the nanoseconds until I can kiss the classroom and everybody in it goodbye. Yet here I am. I sip from my super large coffee mug. The other teachers call it the toilet bowl when they think I'm not listening. They gripe that I owe extra money to the faculty coffee fund because I drink more than my fair share. Tough. The students are bad enough, but the dunderheads who teach them are even worse. Colleagues. They don't know the meaning of the word. A fat lot of support they ever offered me when it was all going wrong. Mr. Kermit. Dr. Thaddeus is standing over me in the faculty room. His $3,000 suit tailored just so. Superintendent, major dictator, a legend in his own mind. Christina Vargas, the principal, is with him. Nice to see you, Zachary. How was your summer? Hot, I tell her, but she keeps on smiling. She's one of the good ones, which puts me on my guard. Thaddeus uses her to do his dirty work. Something is coming. I can smell it. There's been a change in the schedule, the superintendent announces. Christina will fill you in on the details. As you know, Mary Angeletto has left the district, the principal says. So we're moving you into her spot with the self-contained special 8th grade class. I stare at her. You mean the Unteachables? Dr. Thaddeus bristles. We don't use that term. Every teacher in this building knows what they are, I fire back. They're the kids you've given up on. They had their chance in 6th and 7th grade, and now you're just warehousing them until they can be the high school's problem. They're a challenging group, Christina concedes, which is why we've chosen a teacher with a great deal of experience. Of course, the superintendent goes on pleasantly, if you don't feel you're up to the job, light dawns. So that's what this is really about. Thaddeus figured out that I qualify for early retirement after this year. He doesn't want the school district on the hook supporting me forever. The Kermit men live till 95 minimum. My grandfather at 106 is still president of the shuffleboard club at Shady Pines. That's why they're giving me the Unteachables. They aren't interested in my experience. They want my resignation. I look the superintendent right in his snake eyes. You're just trying to make me quit before I qualify for early retirement. His response is all innocence. You're up for retirement already? I think of you as so young. It still seems quite recent, that horrible Terra Nova incident. The media attention, the public outcry, the scandal. Well, there it is. Jake Terranova. Thaddeus is never going to forgive and forget, even though it wasn't my fault. Or maybe it was. They were my students, after all, and it happened on my watch. What a hypocrite. Thaddeus wasn't superintendent then. He had Christina's job, principal. And did he ever take the credit when a class at his school scored number 1 in the country on the national aptitude test? He squeezed every ounce of glory out of that. Interviews, profiles in magazines. When there was traffic on the driveway, you could bet it was because of a TV station mobile unit on its way to interview the high exalted lord of all principals. Until the truth came out, a kid named Jake Terranova had gotten hold of the test and charged his classmates $10 a pop for a copy of it. That's why they aced it. They were cheating. And when the whole thing blew up, was Thaddeus there to take the heat the way he'd taken the acclaim? Not on your life. The teacher was to blame. That's who I've been ever since. The teacher whose class gave the entire Greenwich School District a black eye. Officially, life went on after that. No one revoked my teaching certificate or docked my pay or kicked me out of the union, but everything was different. When I stepped into the faculty room, people stopped talking. Colleagues wouldn't look me in the eye. Administration kept changing my department. One year, it was English, then math, French, social studies, even phys ed. Me with my 2 left feet. I went into a blue funk. Okay, that wasn't the school's fault, but it began to affect my personal life. My engagement to Fiona Bartlesman fell apart. That was on me. I was lost in my own misery. Worst of all, the one thing that was most important to me, teaching, became a bad joke. The students didn't want to learn. Fine. I didn't particularly want to teach them. All I needed to do for my paycheck was show up. Until next June, when early retirement would carry me away from all of this. And now Thaddeus thinks he can make me throw that away too, just to avoid a year with the Unteachables. Obviously, the superintendent doesn't have the faintest idea who he's messing with. I would happily go into room 117 with a pack of angry wildcats before I'd give him the satisfaction of forcing me out. I look from the superintendent to the principal and back to the superintendent again. I enjoy a good challenge. I pick up the toilet bowl and walk out of there, careful to keep the big mug steady. Can't risk spilling coffee all over myself. It would spoil the dramatic exit. 3 decades in this school, and never once have I set foot inside room 117. I know where it is, though, from the stint in phys ed. Somebody has to be in the remotest classroom of the entire building, but I decide to be offended by it. It's just another part of the conspiracy to force me out. Well, it won't work. After all, how bad can these unteachables really be? Behavior issues, learning problems, juvenile delinquents? Does Thaddeus honestly think I've ever crossed paths with students like that throughout 30 years in the classroom? Bad attitudes? The kid hasn't been born with an attitude that's half as bad as mine at this point. Face it, the unteachables can only hurt you if you try to teach them. I gave up on teaching anybody anything decades ago. Since then, my relationship with my classes has been one of uncomfortable roommates. We don't much like each other, but everyone knows that if we just hold our noses and keep our mouths shut, we'll eventually get what we want. For me, that means early retirement. For the SCS 8 students, it means being promoted to 9th grade. That part's a slam dunk, because surely the middle school is dying to get rid of them. What would they have to do to get held back? Burn the whole place to the ground? I walk into my new classroom. A roaring fire in a wastebasket, smoke pouring through the open windows, Kids toasting marshmallows on the end of pencils. Pencils catching fire. One pyromaniac in training seeing if he can get his eraser to burn. An escapee standing outside in the bushes, gazing in, eyes wide with fear. A boy draped over a desk, fast asleep, oblivious to it all. Most kids would scramble to look innocent and be sitting up straight with their arms folded in front of them once the teacher puts in an appearance. Not this crew. If I came in with a platoon of ski marine paratroopers, it wouldn't make any more of an impression. I stroll over to the flaming wastebasket and empty the giant cup of coffee into the bonfire, which goes out with a sizzle. Silence falls in room 117. "Good morning," I announce, surveying the room. "I'm your teacher, Mr. Kermit. Only 10 months until June."